Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and Scoot, welcome to the Gold Advantage. Spring 2022 in the LEC has come to a conclusion, and once again we had Rogue finishing in first place during the regular season. And as the gods must decree it, once again Rogue fails to win the LEC, and we have the G2 coming out with an epic 12-0 run throughout playoffs. I'm heartbroken. I'm wearing blue in honor of Rogue. But my god, did G2 play basically perfect League of Legends in that grand final.
I mean, you can take my blue background as a little funeral for Rogue, but also as the best of 3 network colors. So that's kind of why I rock it for the most part, unless LAG wins a major, as they did the one time I wore purple in the background. Listen, I mean, I had it spot on from the beginning. G2 3-0 Fnatic.
You did.
And then we also said that they're going to be pretty dangerous if they get into a final. We
didn't know they'd be that dangerous.
I don't know. Once you go 9-0, it becomes like it would be bold to say 3-0 Rogue even now, like even looking back on it. But the league that they played and the level at which they played the game was unparalleled, honestly, for the entire split. I don't think anybody played better than they did in that final.
And it's just like such a smooth.
I think that
improvement.
I think that we had that G2 was going to win against Fnatic. I don't know if I said I thought it was going to be basically a best of 5 or not a best of 5, but I thought it was going to go 5. And then I think we all acknowledged that like Rogue, who loves to choke and loves to kind of be the best regular season team and then not be able to finish it off. Had to watch out. Like G2 is kind of their nemesis when it comes to like these things, and so I would have never in a million years predicted 3-0. I would have probably said also maybe a going 5. Hats off to G2. Yeah.
I mean, they deserve
absolutely
this more than anyone. I would.
We
say.
were on this.
Like,
this is like a Mad Lions lower tier fucking run from last year.
Well, it's almost like, I don't know if that's entirely the case, because I think we noticed that Mad Lions was getting hot earlier, and there is like a little...
G2 is getting hot.
Yeah, but it was, there's some like discounting on like Vitality and Misfits.
It was against Vitality and Misfits.
That was hard to read, and then they walk into the 3-0, and then it's just the day after. Like, we don't have time to just make a podcast right after that and be like, oh, they're going to do it again. And I don't think any of us would have said that, but...
I mean... They smashed Fnatic. It's a kind of a bit of a weird thing in that I was looking at the way they beat Fnatic just made them look like they were playing like Rogue. So they clearly studied what worked against Fnatic. They pulled it off. They did it really well. In my mind, I thought Rogue was looking at G2 and studying how they played for 9 games. And it would come out with this banging series. But instead, we just kind of came out and Rogue was playing their best. It's hard for me to I can nitpick things. Like, I didn't love the lack of engagement on their draft. I felt like there was just kind of some moments. I feel like Trimby probably had stage fright. I definitely feel like he got caught out more than I expected from him. But fundamentally, what it came down to was just like G2 was better across the board, and Caps was a huge part of that on Ahri. And I think Broken Blade was a huge part of that on Ornn, and stepping away from some of his more esoteric picks that he's known for and just going on to something incredibly reliable.
I think his Ornn was probably the most unbelievable champ this entire championship weekend. I think he played at 4 out of 6 maps, and like the areas where he's knocking people up are just choke points, and you can't get out of them. And then you just have Caps to follow it up, who is essentially another ADC on the Ahri, especially in that championship series. But Caps didn't miss a single charm. I mean, Rogue did try to change it up map 3, and that's the thing that stood out to me is okay, we're getting beaten. And I was talking to Cheesewater about this a little bit. Him and I kind of watched the entire final series together, but Red side has a huge early advantage, and I feel like that goes a little understated, and Rogue did a good job of taking that early, especially with Malrang on the Jarvan, and he goes and ganks bot lane level 3. Unbelievable play. Gets them an early advantage. They have the gold advantage. Then G2's mid game is just perfect, and they pick out the right team fights. They don't stop, and they're just in your base. 10 minutes later, it's GG.
And I just think it's not just it's part of it was there were a couple of like even in game 2 I felt like they tried something a bit different, but they game 1 and game 2 Rogue had like lack of hard engage, which casters talked about quite a lot, and it meant that a lot of the team fights G2 could control, and I just caps on Ari, like he was just not missing a single charm, like not one. And he knew exactly like how to push the boundaries of it. I just think you couldn't. In a way, I wonder if that ban is more important than LeBlanc. Yeah, I don't know. I think G2 just completely outclassed Fnatic, and then they just went on to outclass Rogue. And it's hard to take much away from it. Like they just were a cut above in every single game, whether they were a bit behind, whether it's because of their team comp, whether it's execution. Just across the board, they were a little bit quicker, a little bit more reactive, a little bit more creative. So they 100 and to see where they started this playoff, I think, to see where they ended is like a phenomenal work.
I think the one other area that just is overwhelmingly interesting to me is their control of the bottom side of the map, right? These guys can, I mean, not to say that they were, I mean, to a degree they were controlling every part of the map, and that was what made them so damn impressive, but just crushing it on Dragons, right? Meeting those early game objectives. They went up like 4-0 on Dragons against Rogue and Fnatic. Like they were just hammering the bottom side of the map, getting those early objectives, getting the additional, utility that comes with that, not only just the gold, but also like, how the map shifts and how they are able to control that. That to me was a really glaring priority for them, right? And that consistently, and maybe you can shed some light, but that priority and that strategy clearly was working for them, and it didn't. But as the game goes on, that is amplified by their ability to do team fights, right? To win those team fights around the Dragon, to continuously win those battles, and clearly they were able to kind of maintain it, and they were always having comps that allowed for them to scale later on in the game and win those team fights. It was very impressive. And Scoot, to what you said, I think when we started, like, or maybe it was Nikita, but clearly playing League at a different level now than they were at the beginning of the season, and just a step above every other team. And I'll go ahead and make a little bit of a prediction. If I don't know when MSI starts, probably in a month, but like this is a team that will give the only team in the world that is playing at their level, I think, a real match, which would be Scoot's T1.
That's not going to happen, unfortunately. T1 is different.
I think you're going to see G2 and T1 in the finals of MSI.
I think it's very encouraging that this timeline.
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a massive prediction. Like there's like 5 teams in MSI, so.
I think, we kind of also have, like, I don't know if the Chinese teams will be able to compete, so we have, there's
like a pretty major region there.
There's
two teams go in, two teams meet
exactly.
in the
If it is just G2 and T1.
Big prediction out of BNB. But is it a coincidence that there's the 2 teams that have a number in their name? I don't know.
1 and 2, and that's how it's going to end up if they do meet in the final.
Finish according to their number. 1 and 2.
Maybe if they were G1, they'd win.
The timeline that we've been pointing on is like, G2 will probably be good by summer. Like they'll develop into this team that could be like a real juggernaut, and that timeline is very sped up at this point because they just did take home a title. The other thing that really stood out to me, and I think it goes underrated because you don't see it a lot on the cast, and as a viewer you don't see it much, the vision control across the map, and this is something that stood out way more in the Fnatic series than it did in the Rogue series. But it still carried over a decent amount. But Fnatic was blind on the map. They really had no idea where G2 was. And in a lot of team fights, you see them.
I mean, that happens. Any good team does that, to be honest.
I don't know if G2 had been...
Any good. Like, Rogue did that to Fnatic.
G2 hadn't been doing it at this level since, like, the beginning of the split. And it seems like that all came together at the right time. Plus, you have Jankos playing out of his mind. He's literally everywhere on the fucking map. You cannot find him. The pathing was insane. I know they triple ganked Malrang while they were behind. In red side jungle or in blue side jungle, and they found him somehow. I don't know how they tracked him. It was like just the level of play was crazy.
No, I know exactly the bit you're talking about, and like that was I think that was their plan, is that they understood that Malrang really facilitates a lot, and they shut him down. Jankos has been so good. I think this kind of, like, to me, it's like Jankos and Broken Blade have been good for most of the split. Caps was underwhelming. Not bad, but it's hard. You know, it's like when you have someone who plays great and they go to very good, it becomes a sort of thing where it's hard to... people find that adjustment period hard. So I think if you're... I don't know if you follow the NBA, for any of our listeners, the guy called James Harden, he was great at one point. BNB hates him, but like on the Rockets, this guy like single-handedly carried so much. He is now still playing very well, but he's just not at the same level as before, and that causes people to go like, is he washed up? And it's like,
I mean,
no,
James Harden
same
is
with
rogue
Caps,
though in playoffs, so
the two, yeah, that's true. The two that I think plays that so it's Caps and then Flackhead. I think were the two that you needed more from for them to win. Flackhead particularly, I think in the original Fnatic series did okay, but didn't perform to the same level. And then from then on, the man just like beast mode, absolute beast mode. Incredible stat lines, just exactly where he needed to be. Played really well with Targums.
I was gonna say,
and then as we've seen, Caps, it's just been gone.
Well, what I think, and this is probably just league strategy across the board, but by Caps controlling the mid of the map, he kind of is able to scout, you know, where the junglers are going. He's really able to provide a ton of bottom side pressure to get those dragons and to come in and help them clean up some of those, you know, first bloods and early kills. By him being so fucking good and on his shit right now, and Scott, to your point, by Broken Blade also just being able to kind of be on his own, right? You weren't needing Caps to go up to help Broken Blade a whole lot, controlling the top side. I think you were able to...
Said Broken Blade came to help Caps more. Like, he had some really cool...
100%. And so I think that you do see Flackhead kind of playing better and really kind of helping and not needing the extra. But then I think Targamas as well from a support point. I mean, look, when you go 6-0, you're not going to find a lot of flaws, right? Yeah. There's not going to be a lot of nitpicking. There's not going to be it's going to be a lot of, you know, applauding. Scoot?
Yeah.
I don't have the media ready. Just continue.
God damn it. It's going to be some applauding. It's going to be us talking about how great everyone played together because they fucking beat the two best teams, or the two other best teams in the LEC in resounding fashion. But it's great to see. You know, I have been in the past, you know, a notable G2, some would say hater. But on last week's pod, I said G2 was going to fucking beat Fnatic, and we definitely did think that they were going to give Rogue a run for their money. And so this is par for the course for Rogue. Once again, best team in the LEC during the regular season and came up one game short. Or one series short. Sorry,
always a bride.
One series
always a bride,
short.
never a bride.
They also...
Always a bride, never
like,
a bride. It's just a shame because
I just felt like Rogue made it also very difficult to lock down a lot of the comps that G2 was running because they were super high mobility, especially like map 1 and I think map 3. But like, how are you going to catch Caps when he has a triple dash on Ahri? Yeah. Like, and they're just not able to.
I think they got outdrafted a little bit as well. I do think they should have.
That's crazy.
Look, the casters also talked about this, is that they didn't have a lot of engage, and I do think that they just kind of got picked off, and Ahri was a problem. And I understand why they... Like, game 1, I understand they gave it over. That's fine. After that, I think it has to be a permaban. I mean, like, look, I think they got outdropped. I think they got outplayed. And I don't think there's kind of more to be said. Like, G2 just kind of beat them from all fronts. Good for them. It was, you know, I think it really just showcased not just what G2 as a team and players can do, but what the org, because of the infrastructure that they put around that enabled this.
It's also just a question for you. I mean, at what point does it become, hey, like, Caps is playing out of his mind. He obviously has this, like, fan buff where, like, it's playoffs and Caps is going to show up. At what point do you just say fuck it and try to make the other team draft more difficult picks? Like, Caps is gonna be a problem anyway. So just let him do what he wants in mid lane, and then.
Yeah, but you don't want something that can like a LeBlanc that can like snowball the whole.
That's
thing.
true, but.
So that's
Ari did it
but
anyway.
I think Ari was I think Ari was as well. So yeah, so I kind of think like, well, that doesn't make sense. It's just like let him. Yeah, I look. I think there's a few problems there that can be nitpicked. I'm sure we'll have people break it down, but I don't think. Maybe that would have changed it into a 3-1, but ultimately I think just G2 was better.
I think that is abundantly apparent.
Yeah.
I mean, congrats to them.
I mean,
it was awesome.
But I think
tier.
we have to ask the next question, which is, where does Rogue go from here?
Probably back to the top of the split, next split.
Yeah, I've been trying to think about that myself. I don't know. Because I think, like, you know, it's a weird thing because they made the change last year at the start of this year, and everyone was critical of it because it's like, what, you're giving up Inspired, MVP, you're giving up Hans Sama, best ADC, and then somehow they come out of it better. And you're like, oh, wow, they're doing really well. And then, I'm almost like, is it Larssen?
It could be. I mean, dude, that man
At this point...
But the part of that though is who the fuck do you
Perkz.
replace him with? Because like I'm not taking Humanoid. I'm not taking Perkz.
No.
I'm not taking.
He was
Perkz,
like, I was the
Perkz.
problem, which was
Yeah,
a
that
hilarious
was
tweet out of
pretty
him.
funny. But
Yeah.
also,
That was a great tweet.
But also, that G2 team produced the best duo probably ever in the LEC. So
I was the problem.
So, but like I wouldn't take Perkz. I wouldn't take Humanoid. I think Larssen is as good or better than Humanoid. But neither of them is better than
nobody's
Caps.
better than Caps, apparently. That's become inherently true.
Trimby looked a bit shaky, but is that just it's the first time playing in front of a crowd? I think
maybe you do the
so.
unthinkable.
I understand that.
And get rid of Odoamne.
Yeah, but same problem. He's the second one that I'm like, oh, do you need to? But who do you go for? Unless you do some sort of Korean top lane import.
You know this guy named Summit?
The problem is, it's like, I don't know who I would take in Europe over him.
Yeah, there's not a lot of options.
And I don't, no. And I also don't feel that Rogue's loss was really down to an individual. I think they just as a team.
They definitely lost as a team. I mean, there's nobody that I can pick out and be like, that guy got picked a bunch of times. It's his fault. Like, they didn't int. But, it just was overwhelming. And if you want to talk about Caps diff, I mean, that play outside the Baron pit where he holds the package on Corki and then just absolutely slaughters Larssen, it was unbelievable stuff.
There's a lot of that. I mean, look, there's some hesitation from Larssen and stuff like that. I think, like, especially when he was playing Azir, I didn't love that game. I felt like they were just uncoordinated in fights. But I also, I do wonder, I mean, it's the first time playing on stage with a crowd in 2 years.
Could be. I mean, it could be that, but...
I'm like, I wonder how many of them have actually have significant stage experience. Because I'm trying to think. Odoamne does. I think Larssen has some. Malrang, I believe, has some, but not nowhere near as much as like Jankos and Caps. But then there's an argument to be made. Like, look. Flackett and Targamas don't have.
I think it's
experience.
pretty equal.
But I think a lot of that flowed from Caps, and I'm not sure that Larssen has the same. Like, Caps comes alive with a crowd. I'm not sure Larssen comes alive with a crowd.
It's a shame.
So, anyway, I don't know. It is. I don't know where they go from here because I don't know. I don't think there's. No one stands out to me as an obvious like, ooh, this is an upgrade you can make. And I think that's challenging. I think Caps is just literally like top of the league. I think there are people that are as good as Broken Blade. I think Jankos is also one of the best junglers. So you're hitting a point where you're kind of making a sideways move as opposed to an obvious like, hey, we lost because of this lane. So, any last thoughts before we move over to the North American League of Legends
the silly
Championship
league
series?
The fun league?
Nope. All right. In NA, we had, unsurprisingly, a 3-0 from Cloud9 over Golden Guardians. I don't have much to say about it. Golden Guardians just didn't play that well. Cloud9 played better. I still don't...
Is that your professional take?
I actually was chatting... Yeah, I mean, I tweeted... I had a couple of tweets back and forth with Azael, because he tweeted that he was very impressed by Cloud9. I asked why, because I thought it was more Golden Guardians not showing up. He said that he felt that the way they drafted allowed Summon not to be shut down, and also the fact that you had individual moments where like Berserker looked good and Fudge looked good, and I don't disagree with that. I think that's a fair take. It wasn't the G2 versus Fnatic 3-0 where I'm like, damn, G2 looks good. It was like Cloud9 beat Golden Guardians.
Just talent diff at that point. Like,
basically, EG beat FlyQuest 3-1. The one game that FlyQuest won was like a 50-minute series where they had like a 9k gold lead and then nearly lost it. And to be fair, I'm resentful that they spent 50 minutes to win one match. It's unnecessary. You're going to lose. Like, don't waste my
well, that's my
time
problem.
with this shit. And like, you nearly
Look, can
lost
we talk
there,
about just how insane
like,
that game was?
But if you're gonna take a huge gold lead and then you're
all
gonna
over.
have the audacity to throw it away, don't go and win the game.
Exactly.
Dude. That's so lame.
That's my point. You're just wasting my time. You just added 50 minutes of not really great League of Legends to come to the same conclusion.
That game, from an entertainment perspective, right, is just like next level. Like, the amount of the FlyQuest base that was left remaining, what was it, like 100 HP? It was nothing. It was like absolutely nothing. And then
it was entertaining. I mean,
it was
fun back and forth,
fucking believable. And then for them to go and flip it, and the way that they did it, right, where they're like around the fucking Elder Dragon and just TPs into the base, and then is about to get killed and
then wins it off of like the back door.
Just fucking like entertaining as hell. And if you know what, I'm gonna take that kind of a treat. We all knew that FlyQuest didn't have the manpower or just the overall ability to beat EG. Like, EG is clearly the superior team in that scenario, and we by far have the best remaining semifinal, right? Like, the best four teams are without a doubt in the semifinal, and
the best.
And that's going to be, I think now it's like I'm really excited for these next two matches and then the final. But from an entertainment perspective, I actually really appreciated Game 2. I mean, I thank you. I thank you, FlyQuest.
Is it the start of C9's G2 run? Because again, they both have numbers in their name.
No.
I'm just pointing out trends. But yeah, I can't disagree. I mean, it's just the results that we expected.
So does 100.
FlyQuest was so overrated this entire split.
And 100 is way more. No, I actually just I don't think they were overrated. They started at 5-1.
And what'd that get them?
Like, that's
one round in playoffs?
How is that overrated?
Ass.
Sorry, how does that, like, for a team that people didn't even expect to make playoffs?
Honestly, a great season, a great spring for them.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah, really good for them. I think, like, they ended, I don't know how many people actually had them even making playoffs. The fact that they made it was great. And I do think
even the fact that they won a game.
Team that can
even the fact that they won a game.
Tanking for draft picks.
They won a game. They held on. They had first place for a while. Like, I just think overall, I wouldn't say they're a dark horse because I don't think they can win it. But I think they are a team that can cause an upset or cause, like, a mishap in the standings of the regular seasons. Like where it's like Cloud9 and TSM are fighting for fourth place. And because Cloud9 loses to FlyQuest, TSM gets third place and the whole thing changes, So I think that's good for them. You know what? Round of applause.
I'm not playing the sound. I don't support this. I hate FlyQuest.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's sick. He's just not prepared.
I hate FlyQuest. Yeah, I am under the weather, so apologies if there are any voice cracks or if I look like dog ass, which I do.
The haircut can only last for so long.
Yeah, haircut buff gone. Sickness buff, sickness nerf in. I am, this is a bad patch for me, just to say the least.
Luckily, it won't last long.
It's a rough one.
So
You've been nerfed. First match, Cloud9, EG. I have Cloud9 at 1.52 and EG at 2.4.
Is that the first one, or is it
My-
TL 100 Thieves first?
TL 100 Thieves first.
But it's a more fun match to talk about. So you've done your job correctly.
Oh, so you know what? It's at 5:30 a.m., but on the following day.
But I mean, you're still doing the right thing,
My bad.
because we should talk about C9 EG first.
Yeah. So my initial gut impression is like I do like the money line on EG.
Yeah.
I think Cloud9 are likely to win because I didn't feel like their win over FlyQuest was as clean or as dominant as I hoped it to be. But I do think it could be a 3-1.
No.
I think it could be
I'm
a 3-1.
gonna give you the bet that's gonna win you money.
All right. What's the bet?
EG -1.5, 3.56.
I do like that.
That
would
is
be
the answer,
upset.
folks.
Do you
Century.
think
Dead
Impact
ass.
can really step to Summit?
Yeah.
Because I feel like this entire split.
Summit,
I don't,
not been impressive recently.
Okay, yeah, but he's also been playing the best. Like, I mean, maybe no. Last series he was fine. That's not even like a good
Against
thing.
Go-
to
I
point
don't.
out.
I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
going to
Golden
count
Guardians.
Golden
Golden
Guardians.
But like
I'm not gonna
before
count
that, I
Golden
mean, he's
Guardians.
playing the other very good top laner in the LCS, which is Ssumday.
before that, he went like 1 and
So
17.
also was that also
So,
not against Ssumday?
I mean, you just bashed FlyQuest. You just bashed FlyQuest.
FlyQuest
So,
got
you
shit
know,
on by EG. I don't care.
EG is good.
I kind of
The performance that EG had against Team Liquid versus the performance
Yes.
that Cloud9 had against 100 Thieves, I like EG in this game. I think that EG plays up to the level of their performance or of the competitor. And so for them to still handle FlyQuest the way that they did and even fight back and almost, claim a game that they really didn't deserve to claim, I really like where EG is at. They got into the final, or did they win? I can't remember the play-in or whatever it was. This team is, again, a team that we expected to be maturing later. I think that if they lose this, I'm not going to get like super bent out of shape, but I think they're a better team, and I really, 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 I love where the value is. Like 2.4 on the money line is delicious, absolutely delicious, and I really like the -1.5. I do.
I don't think Cloud9 is the same Cloud9 that played against 100 Thieves.
They're
I think
worse.
They've improved. I hope EG can play. I want the EG in game 2, 3, and 4. I don't want the EG of game 5.
Oh, when they tried to get way too cute. You were
That's-
talking about
that's
this Team
the-
Liquid. I was like,
Yeah, when they tried to get way too cute. But I liked when they were getting a little bit cute. When they were
like a
doing
little cute, not a lot of
the
cute.
Nocturne Leona, like a little
Yeah.
cute, but like don't
Right.
act like you're a
Right,
10,
right, right.
okay? You're not. Like we know.
Well, that's the
like,
thing.
like, you're not here, but yeah, you can
let's
push
see
it.
what you got.
Besides the fact that this is a clear C9 3-0, we are going to get some fun drafts out of this. So that is at least something that'll keep you glued to your seat.
I really hope we do. I really hope we do, because if we don't, it would be. I think this is the thing, is like what we talked about. Team Liquid matchup is. I'm not sure at this stage. I don't know that EG can straight up one-on-one outclass Cloud9. So they need to play their way, and I think when they play their way, Danny and JoJo particularly unlock and tend to be really good. My biggest actually concern though is Impact, because I think I just don't feel like he's been the best this season. Whereas last year, near the end of it, I really felt like he was like
Right.
slamming. This year, I feel like he's been a little bit more disconnected. I don't know. I just if we see more of the inspired JoJo party lane in mid lane, and we Danny is unleashed on Azeri, I'm excited, and I think we have the upset. But yeah, that's kind of, I'm still aware that I think Cloud9 can... If I look over the course of the split, Cloud9 has more consistently been the better team.
3-0.
I hear you. For EG, I agree.
Nope. No. Cloud9 3-0.
You're a fanboy.
Let's be very
You're a
clear.
fanboy.
I don't care.
You're a
Fudge diff,
fanboy.
Summit diff, get ready.
It's not even...
It's
good
fine.
fanboy.
Did they win the 2018 Boston Major in Counter-Strike? That's all that matters. What?
Did they lose? Who lost to 100 Thieves? Like,
I don't know what you're
embarrassing?
talking about. I also don't know how many times 100 Thieves has won a split in the LCS.
1.59. 1.59 is first target for Cloud9. And I do think that's a pretty good bet. They currently have the first tower rate at 67%, so that's one. And I think
How far are you just looking at playoffs, or how far are you looking back? Okay.
Just playoffs, yeah. Same Dragon. EG has a 44%. Cloud9 has a 67% rate of taking first Dragon. Obviously, there's kind of a bit of a parallel there of what Dragon they take, when they take it. Are they going to be up Shelly for it? But it's one that I think is worth considering. You can get Cloud9 first Dragon 1.6.
That becomes a little interesting, right? Because Cloud9 predominantly plays from blue side, which does EG also does, I'm pretty sure. So this is going to get like weird at the first Dragon, I think. But it is like...
I'm like, are they going to actually commit to that? Or because this is the thing is, like, counter picking last pick is super important, but I also think first pick in this sort of matchup, like, if you can ban, then you can get impact on something very robust or inspired.
But I feel like I mean, well, one, Cloud9 should have first map, right, to select because of the higher seed. So
I believe so.
It's a little interesting because I mean, Cloud9 is going to have to adjust to playing red at some point, like pretty soon. And honestly, like red side's pretty good right now, like early game especially. So I expect them. I hope they start to get comfortable on red side and play at a higher level, but I'm not entirely convinced that that's going to be the case. However, if EG does land on that red side, I can see them taking first Dragon. It's not to be contrarian to your pick. I still agree with it. I think the percentages are there, the stats are there, but it is interesting to think about.
Fair enough. I don't think we have much more to say about that.
I think we have to get to the best match of the. I mean, this is honestly the real match. I think you're going to see this match twice. Well, I think you'll see it twice.
Yeah.
Whatever happens.
Yeah.
In between Cloud9 and EG, I think you're going to lose to this team, whichever loses this match.
C9 3-0's EG, it becomes interesting. I just have to say that. I'm obligated.
Well, they're not going to.
That's a shame that they will.
Fair enough. Okay, 100 Thieves TL. I am massively biased 100 Thieves fanboy. So 100 Thieves 3-0 win, no doubt about it. No, I think this will be I think it'll probably be a 3-2 again. Mainly just because I think TL had probably got a bit shooketh from my favorite word, shooketh from their match against EG. And I also don't think that 100 Thieves plays like EG. They don't come out with like necessarily those unusual like random picks that I think TL.
Is there any way this isn't going over 4.5? I mean, this is my like favorite bet of this. It's 2.83.
The thing is, even if it isn't, I think it could be I think a 3-1 is like a strong possibility, but I love that bet. The odds are too good to
these two teams are too good.
It's phenomenal.
And I would say evenly matched, right? Like you've got fucking power hitters on both sides. I just
and they're playing well. Like everyone
I'm not going to regret betting the over 4.5.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Liquid is a 1.64 for me, which is pretty decent, but 100 Thieves is a 2.28. And regardless of where my personal allegiances lie, 2.28 is just too good. If you flip that, I would say take the Team Liquid.
Yeah.
Either way, this is the number 1 and number 2 team in the LCS, or number 1 and number 3 from regular season, but 100 Thieves crushed Cloud9, so I think quite comfortably can put them in top 2 at this stage. Yeah, I just think as an underdog odds, 2.28 is just too good to pass up. I am not against a minus 1.5 on either side. Particularly more so on the 100 Thieves one, because at minus 1.5 for 100 Thieves gives you 3.41, which is just incredible. I think the TL one gives you 2.25, not as good, but if you really are convinced that TL is going to win it, then it's a nice way to kind of up your odds.
I can't disagree with anything you said, and I don't love betting on 100 Thieves, but 2.28 is too good to pass up, especially in this matchup. However, at what point does Bjergsen pick up his 4 friends and drag them to a final?
And then this, to me, is the most important point of this, which is TL hasn't lost a fucking thing yet this season. They go in and they win the lock-in. Then in the spring, and by the way, in convincing fashion. Then
it's against EG though.
I mean 3-0. Thank you. Convincing. Yeah, and then they are the first place team in the spring standings at a lovely 14-4. They did split their series with 100 Thieves 1-1. And I love the way that the way that 100 Thieves are playing right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to be super blown away. I mean, like, look, this team is on a steamroll, right? Like, they had one loss against, like, Immortals or whoever right at the end of the Dignitas, right at the end, and it was like, I'm not even going to count that one. Outside of that, they haven't lost a game in, like, the past, like,
in 10 games.
10 or 12 weeks, which is insane. So they're clearly on top of their form. But, damn, I have a hard time just seeing how Team Liquid loses this. Now, I will make this audacious bet, and if I'm 100 Thieves, I might want to lose this game. And here's why. I think you then go down, get a little bit more of a refresher against C9 or EG. Mm-hmm. And, Nikki, what's my quote when it comes to League of Legends? You can't beat the same team twice. I really think whoever wins this one might lose in the final. Or whoever wins this one might lose in the final.
I think 100 Thieves, if they win, is more likely to lose in the final than Liquid is, to be honest.
That's just fucking a lot of games against the same...
It's just math.
Against the same team. And both these teams are so fucking equal.
Yeah.
Yes, but like the level of experience that carries over, I think for TL into a final is just gonna like they'll already have figured out how to play against 100 Thieves. They'll carry that over, and it's not like I don't think they're gonna let momentum get to them. And
but the thing here, I think the way that 100 Thieves played against Cloud9 can work quite well against TL for different reasons. Because you mentioned Bjergsen, I'm like 100%, but you don't, and like it's a little bit like what you said about Caps. You can't stop Bjergsen.
True.
So you've got to minimize what he.
You mentioned Bjergsen. I mentioned Bwipo.
But that's exactly it. And I was like, you put Ssumday against the Bwipo, who it's basically you have the flip,
the flippity.
And so long as you make him, you just keep making Bwipo flip the coin, and then he'll lose you the game. And that's so you've got Bwipo's coin flippiness, and Bjergsen's like, I'm trying to drag you guys to it. And so long as you can bait Bwipo into being like, hey, dude, you won twice in a row. Wouldn't 3 times in a row be sweet? And he's like, fuck yeah, it would be. Flip, fuck, he loses, game is done.
And do not underrate. And do not underrate. They have Hans Sama. What did we just see on the other side of the pond?
Okay, well that's a structural issue. Let's be very clear. It's not a Hans Sama problem.
Sometimes it's called.
They also have.
Sometimes it's a DNA issue.
Well, okay, the coin flip thing with Bwipo. The other side of that coin, I feel like, is him winning the map for TL.
No, but you just keep doing it. Like if he wins, you bait him into flipping again. I feel like Bwipo is a consummate, like he's a degenerate gambler. He can't stop trying to gamble. And you know how the house always wins? It's because they just keep letting you bet.
But 100 Thieves isn't the house.
What you do with Bwipo.
It's a 50-50.
No, they are. They no.
Scoot seamlessly mentioning a gold advantage directly into the podcast. That's the house. It's always fucking winning.
That's the house.
What?
All right.
You did it earlier in the podcast. I wanted to clip it for us. It was so funny. I was like, oh.
I didn't even know I did it, to be honest.
but-
That's how you know it's a good.
I'm just too good.
too about
I mean,
it. You're too about it.
I'm content brained. I'm content brained at this point.
You just let Bwipo, you bait him. You bait him into thinking like he's a god. You bait him into mid lane. Like, oh, you can kill me. And then like, no, I killed you. There's a 45-second death timer. Your team.
I mean, the only note here.
And that's the concern about Summit, by the way, if you're a fucking Cloud9 fan.
The only note here is that, of course, JJ's on Tom Kench. It's pretty much TL dub. So.
There's a lot, but then you say that, but then I would also say FBI and Huhi playing at their peak are as good, if not better.
Fair enough.
Hans and Core. So, I just think this is.
It's gonna be a fun.
I'm really
excited.
Good teams.
I'm
It's
excited
really
to watch.
good teams.
I'm not gonna lie. I won't lie to you.
I think it's a hard one to bet on because I can make an
over
argument
4.5.
I do agree with you, Bwipo. I love that. I love that bet. I think the 100 Thieves money line and -1.5 just offers a lot of really good value. But I also think the odds are kind of like decent enough on TL.
I just want you guys to know that this is set up exactly like the LEC. So just get ready.
What's your answer? What's your answer?
100 Thieves drops down in the lower bracket. C9 3-0s them, and then 3-0s Liquid in the final after 3-0ing EG.
That won't happen.
Well, I mean, it's literally the exact same setup. So when it happens,
except on the one hand we have a good team, and on the other hand we have Cloud9. So
they're just. I mean, listen, Cloud9 and G2 are fairly similar organizations in the way they operate. So
but one of those teams fired their coach halfway through the season. The other didn't.
It wasn't halfway. It was about a weekend.
One of those is just clearly a little bit losing it this season.
I'm looking at where's G2. I'm trying to find G2's score. Yeah, G2 lost 3-1 to Fnatic. And it wasn't even steamrolled.
It's fine.
Whereas
Cloud9 really matters.
Utterly demolished. So
I'm just saying, when Cloud9 3-0s EG, we need to start having this conversation, especially when 100 Thieves ends up in that lower bracket in the 3-2 loss to Liquid, where they're down pretty horrendous.
You've made your predictions known, so that way it'll make for a perfect clip.
Yeah.
In case
Seems like a 3-2 loss is coming up for 100 Thieves.
I think he's. You know what? This is his dumb one. This is his dumb one that he's gonna ride these coattails like.
What, the fact that I predicted that G2 would 3-0 Fnatic and then roll into a final and beat Rogue?
Yeah,
I mean, listen, I understand that you're upset.
It was more the 3-0 Fnatic. That's got to be your...
I understand. I understand that you're upset that your boyfriend, who decides to wear blue all around Europe, left you at the altar again this time around. So it's all good.
No, I you know what? A funny thing is, because the matches are like 2 a.m. for me, I went to sleep and I just had this feeling of dread. I just like, no, just like, it'll be fine. You'll wake up. It will be like a 3-1, 3-2. Like, don't be silly. But I was like, oh, I don't know. I could just feel it. I felt it. And I woke up and I looked at it and I was like, fuck this shit. And I just didn't go on our Discord for 6 hours.
Did you even watch the match?
I don't want to deal with it.
Did you just ignore it?
Yeah.
No.
It took me 2 hours.
I don't know if you guys ever watched
2 hours
CS, but there was an era where Virtus Pro went by Virtus Plow, and they would just like roll through teams in tournaments. And I just had that feeling about G2, and I was like, okay, this is happening. And then it just started, and Caps was unstoppable. It's like, okay, all right, good night.
He really was.
It's unbelievable
He
stuff.
really was. Like, honestly, his Ari was just so fucking good. And it was such a, like, pleasure to watch. And even watching Jankos do what Malrang did, but better, was like, wow, like, you guys have just completely...
that is a legitimately internationally dangerous team. I agree with you in that facet, Chris, but there's no way that anyone's beating T1. So, that's the final
T1 and G2.
Maybe they reach finals.
I hope so. That would be electric if it was T1, G2 final. I mean... Especially
that might be Worlds if they keep playing. Skirt.
Would like that.
Great minds.
Would like that. All right, everyone. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Best3 Network. You can find a link to our Discord in the pinned tweet. And most importantly, if you are listening to this either on Twitter or via Anchor or Spotify,
or Apple
we
Music.
now have a YouTube, so you can find us or Apple Music. You can find us on YouTube under @Best3 Network. Come see our ugly.
I'll tell you what,
faces.
we've been doing some numbers. We've been the view counts have been great. We've been appreciating all the interactions. A couple.
We have been. New people joining our Discord. Nice little banter.
So good.
It's great. It's going really well. So we appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. If you like Call of Duty,
which we do,
check out our sister podcast, Money Hill.
We like it.
That we have an active Discord community for that, and we've also just kicked off our CS:GO Discord community, and that's got a nice little bit of banter back and forth. So come check it out. Let us know why we are right, why we are wrong.
We're never wrong.
And that is about it.
A lot of dumpstering NACS in that chat. It's not very healthy. It's so bad. They're so bad right now. It's so bad. I didn't even know NACS right now,
still existed. Honestly, I didn't know. I thought
it's all downhill gave since Cloud9 won that major.
Swapped to Valorant.
Oh, they all switched. Yeah. They all switched.
I hope
Stewie goes too. I mean, that would be electric.
Yeah. But are they doing any good in Valorant?
No, they just lost to a tie team at Masters. Let's fucking go.
There we go. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week.
Peace out.